What is up, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Touchdown and Ties, the father-daughter sports podcast discussing football and everything else in between. I'm your co-host, Brianna, the daughter of this duo.
What up, everybody? And I'm Keith, her dad, the other co-host.
In today's episode, we're going to be wrapping up Week 9 of the NFL. But before we do, if you're not already, please go ahead and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. That way you can update it whenever we upload an episode. And of course, it also helps us out as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's start this episode with the home team. The Vikings stunned the Lions, as all the headlines are saying, at home. I was really excited when the game first started, when Laporta made his touchdown, and it was literally just downhill from there. I was like, oh, this is going to be a great game. But no, the Vikings came back and answered so quick, and it was frustrating. I feel like that was the worst performance that we've seen from them all in all this season.
It was a disappointing game for the Lions all the way around. I mean, actually, the defense didn't play that poorly.
Bad,
I mean, the defense only gave up 260 yards of offense to the Vikings. So they didn't do bad. It was just overall what we saw from the Lions was just a bunch of mental mistakes. I mean, and it's something that I talked to you about. When the season first started, whoever win in the trenches be the team that will win the game. And the Vikings were the more physical team on both sides of the ball. They were able to run the ball, especially early in the game with Aaron Jones. The Lions couldn't get anything going in their run game. The Vikings were able to expose the Lions' pass protection, particularly with Jahmyr Gibbs.
He had 25 yards.
Well, not just with the rushing game, but with his pass protection. They were sending a lot of pressure up the middle when Gibbs was in the game, and he was just getting run over by their linebackers or their defensive linemen. I mean, whoever it was. I mean, he gave up a lot of pressures on Jared Goff, and that pass rush was constantly in Jared Goff's face the whole game, and it just disrupted their offense. The Lions offensive line played poorly against the Packers in week 1, but you figure okay, it was just week 1.
They
They didn't play in the preseason. They have some new starters on the offensive line, so these guys hadn't had a chance to gel yet. But, we're talking like week 8 now. And to see what the Vikings were able to do to the Lions, pass protection. I mean, other teams can use that as a blueprint. Don't necessarily mean that they will have the same type of success because they don't have the same type of players that the Vikings have. But make no mistake about it, other teams are looking at that film and going, okay, maybe we can try to do the same thing to disrupt this offense.
Yeah. And I was listening to the commentators during the game. I know Tom Brady was one of them. Did they set a record either this season or probably not franchise because it's been some rough years, but in terms of penalties, they had 10 penalties in that game. That was like the worst game that they've had with penalties.
It wasn't a franchise record, but it
wasn't a franchise.
Yeah, it's out the norm for a Dan Campbell coach team. The Lions are usually one of the more disciplined teams in the NFL, but this game, they were just really sloppy. Like I said, they had a lot of mental mistakes. I mean, they had 10 penalties in this game. They only converted 5 out of 17 on third down, which is a recurring problem for the Lions.
Apparently that's an issue for them is their conversion on third down.
Yeah, last year they were one of the top teams in the NFL at converting third downs into first down. And this year they're like in the bottom third of the league, which is a problem. I mean, it's a problem, first of all, that you get 17 third downs, which is crazy.
Right, because why are you getting to that point in the first place?
Yeah, but then you only converted 5 of them. So it's making it very hard for the offense to stay on the field because they can't sustain their drives, you know. And, the one thing that I've noticed that the Lions seem to be missing from their offense this year, besides Ben Johnson, is that they don't have any big playability. I mean, occasionally, Jahmyr Gibbs, we saw against Tampa, he had that long 78-yard touchdown run. The first touchdown to Sam Laporta, I think, was like a 40-yard touchdown pass. But they don't have enough of those chunk plays, which consequently mean when you are scoring touchdowns, it's taking you 8 plays, 10 plays, 12-play drives just to score a touchdown. So, I mean, it's good that you're scoring touchdowns, but they're not as explosive as they were last year. And a lot of that could just be because they don't have Jared Goff doesn't have a lot of time in the pocket to get the ball down the field. They're not getting as many big run plays consistently from Gibbs or David Montgomery for that matter. So it just seemed like everything is a struggle for them right now offensively. Defensively, like I said, they didn't play poorly. I mean, they gave up 27 points, but when you break it down, The first Vikings touchdown came after the guy returned the kick, 60 some odd yards. So they
Yeah.
only had like 30, 35 yards to go for a
To go.
touchdown,
Yeah.
to score there. David Montgomery fumbled the ball deep in Lions territory. The Vikings recovered that like at the 30, 35-yard line, and they scored a touchdown off of that. So that's half their points right there, and they only had to go 70 yards total to
Yeah.
get them. So, you put
Yeah.
the defense in a bad situation there, and, they do the best they can, but it was nothing that they could do to stop them in that situation. So the defense didn't play horrible. I mean, they sacked J.J. McCarthy 5 times.
I
But
actually didn't see that because I was focused on how many times Jared Goff was sacked because he too was sacked 5 times in
he
that
was
game.
sacked 5 times as well. Yeah. So, I mean, the Lions actually had over 300 yards of total offense in that game, which wasn't a lot, but it was more than what the Vikings had. So the defense didn't play poorly, man. It's just, Tryon Arnold had the interception, and that's another stat that I saw that was interesting. At least going into the game on Sunday, the defense caused 18 turnovers, which is pretty good through 8 games. But the offense only converted 4 of those turnovers into touchdowns.
Into points, yeah.
So it's like, the defense is giving you extra opportunities, but the offense is, up
Really
until
not
this point has
capitalizing
not
off
been
of
able
them.
to Yeah, they haven't been able to capitalize off those extra possessions that they're getting. So, I mean, something is just off with the Lions. I mean, the offensive line is definitely not as good as it used to be. And
I mean,
then
we're missing some guys, and then we had, some guys go down with injuries again that, I forget the guy, I think his name was
Christian
Mahogany.
Mahogany, yeah, he got hurt. He's going to be out for a while. Panay Sewell got hurt. He may not play in the next game. Taylor Decker got hurt. He may not play in the next game. So the offensive line is really banged up. But even before that,
Yeah, they
the
already
offensive
had
line was struggling.
starters. Yeah, they
Yeah,
had
they were
new guys,
struggling.
and like particularly I believe it's at the center position, I believe,
Yeah, Frank
was a
Ragnow
play. Yeah,
retired.
because Frank Ragnow is gone, and that's a
Yeah,
huge thing that they're missing, which is why you said that Jared Goff doesn't have a lot of time to do what he needs to do because the guys are, getting him out of the pocket. So I fully expect him to bounce back. I hope they bounce back. This is the same kind of feeling that you had after week 1. I really didn't have any kind of feeling when they played the Chiefs because it's the Chiefs. A lot of teams lose to the Chiefs. It's not at the end of the day if you
right.
lose to Pat Mahomes and all of them. But I mean, like you said, they just have to get those mistakes under control. The NFL is tough. It's a physical league. There's no easy games, but the Lions have now lost twice to division rivals, which is not good because
Not good. Yeah.
we only play them one more time. One of those games obviously was at home against the Vikings, but
Yeah.
I told you when I was watching the game, the only thing that kind of helps is that Green Bay lost to Carolina, but Green Bay still has the head-to-head against the Lions. So the Lions quite literally have to beat them as well as win, majority if not all the rest of their games to be ahead of Green Bay in the division and get that advantage at the end of the season during the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, the Lions have 3 more divisional games to play, and they can't afford to lose any of them.
Any of them.
I mean,
they've already lost 2.
Yeah, they already lost 2, and one of them was at home to Minnesota, so they can't afford to lose any more divisional games.
Right.
It's going to be an uphill battle for those guys from here on out. The second half of the season, I mean, their schedule is still tough. The injuries are starting to pile up. You are, kind of I think the Lions are sitting in, the 7th position right now if the playoffs were to start today, which is, 7 out of 7 teams. You only make only 7 teams can make it.
Yeah.
So, they have some work to do. I mean, obviously the sky is not falling just yet. But it's not early, like how, before
how we were saying
it's
before,
early. It's not early anymore. I mean, we're at the halfway point of the season, and it's time for these guys it's time for them to get going, man, because they are not looking like, they're one of the better teams and not just the NFL, but in the NFC right now. They're not looking, they've lost 2 of their last 3 games right now. So they're going to have to get going. I mean, in the next game against the Commanders, still going to be a challenge. Even though they lost Jayden Daniels, there's going to be a challenge.
Right. I mean, you would think I was a Commanders fan with how bad Jayden Daniels got hurt. I was so upset by that because, for one, I had turned the game off. I know you said don't turn games off in the NFL, but I'm like, Netflix just added Dreamgirls. I have better things to watch than the Commanders get blown out by the Seahawks right now. So that's what I'm going to do is watch my movie for like the umpteenth millionth time. But then when you told me that he broke his arm, I was like, dang, like that was like, man, that sucks. And then you sent me the video and I was like, that's probably worse than him breaking his arm.
Yeah, you know instantly what it was.
Yeah, I just couldn't like from what he had already been out for just like a little nagging injury that was obviously
Right.
not as severe as him dislocating his
Hamstring.
elbow, yeah, his hamstring. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even watching that video, that got me. That was just a lot, and this just seems like a recurring thing. This is like the worst season in the NFL in most recent years for injury because you have all of these starters that are out with all of
Mm-hmm.
these long-term injuries. Joe Burrow, Fred Warner, Malik Neighbors, Najee Harris, Cam Scatterboot, Tyreek Hill, Tucker Kraft. I mean, the Commanders alone
Yeah.
lost 3 guys in one night. Come on.
Yeah. It was a brutal night for
It
them
was a
on the injury
brutal night
front.
for
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
But that's the NFL, man.
Yeah.
It's a brutal sport, man. Players get hurt. I mean, it seemed like, it may be a little bit more this year because of the big name players
The
that you
big
that,
name
that, that
players.
you just
Yeah.
named. But it's the same every year, man. I mean, these
Yeah.
guys get hurt, and unfortunately for the Commanders, this has been a recurrent theme with them with their quarterbacks over the years. I mean,
Mhm.
RG3 comes to mind, when he
Yeah,
got
I keep
hurt.
seeing that recurring online. I mean, I wasn't paying
Yeah.
attention to him back then. I don't even know what his injury was.
It was a knee or something that he
Yeah.
suffered like in his rookie season. And
Mhm.
he never really fully recovered from it, in my opinion. He was never the same player after that. But the fans are upset because it's like, the score was 38-7.
He was still
Why
in the
was JD
game.
still in the game at that point? Obviously, I mean, it's 7 minutes to go in the game. You're not coming back in that
Right.
situation. I mean, I know we just saw couple weeks ago, the Broncos scored like 33 points, like in the last quarter to come back and win the game. Like I forgot who they played, but they scored 33
The
points in the fourth
Giants.
quarter. Was it the Giants? Yeah, it was the Giants, right? To
Mhm.
come back and win the game, but that wasn't happening in
Right.
this game against Seattle. Seattle is a
Right.
is a much better team than the Giants. You were not coming back to win that games, but you know it happens, man. I mean,
Right.
football is a brutal sport, man. I mean, he could be on the practice field and get hurt, so it happens. I mean, unfortunately for Dan Quinn, he's going to have to answer to that. Fans are not going to be happy, but I mean, I just hope JD comes back. I don't know the severity of the injury with the dislocated elbow. I mean, maybe you can speak on that a little bit more than I can, about how long it may take him to get back and will he be able to come back at full strength?
I mean, I didn't look at he got the MRI, they said yesterday, so I didn't go back
Mhm.
and look at the injury report to see exactly if they released what the MRI said. But a lot of times when you dislocate a joint that severely, there's always a good chance of a fracture because the bone can hit the other bone as it's coming out. So you can have damages to the bone itself outside of the dislocation. There's soft tissue injuries. You have a lot of ligaments in
Mhm.
that area. Like I mentioned to you yesterday, that there is a major nerve, your radial nerve, that branches off right at the elbow, and that innervates the arm and things like that. So there's a whole bunch of other issues between nerve damage, vascular damage, soft tissue damage that the MRI is going to reveal when they get the imaging. But like I told you, like no injury is a good injury. However,
Right.
the one silver lining that I feel like you have to look at in this whole thing is that it wasn't his throwing arm. It was
Okay.
a foosh injury, which just means it's falling on an outstretched hand. So he fell
Mhm.
down, catching himself on his arm, and obviously taking his whole body weight there pushed his elbow a place that it wasn't supposed to go.
Yeah, it was nasty. You saw
Yeah.
it immediately too. It was nasty.
Yeah.
So, then he has youth on his side as well. So
Right.
hopefully he'll come back strong and, be ready to go. I don't know if he'll play again this year. Is that a
I don't know
possibility?
at this point. I mean, like I said, you have to look at the results of, MRIs and stuff like that. I mean, if you have a fracture, that's, 6 to 8
Mhm.
weeks minimum.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it's about the rest of the season right there
right.
almost pretty
Yeah,
much. Yeah.
exactly. And then even
Mhm.
with the dislocation, with the rehab, you're gonna
Mhm.
have to get back strength, range
Right.
of motion, stability. Like I said, there's gonna be a lot of issues with stiffness. You can get
Mhm.
arthritis later in life because of it. So, like I said,
Wow.
and this has ended careers. Like I said, I've known gymnasts who have had dislocated
Mhm.
elbows and they can't come back from it, obviously because
Mhm.
their whole body weight is on their upper body. So
Right.
it just depends. Like, that's why I was saying that the one silver lining in this, thankfully, is that it was not his throwing arm, because I feel like the
Okay.
recovery process and the rehab would just
Mhm.
be way longer and way more difficult.
Right.
I don't know the mechanics of throwing a football, but other than,
Right.
holding it like this and then coming back and using your hips, the other
Right.
arm don't really do anything. So, like I said, it's dejecting, obviously, and it's
Mhm.
sad because he got injured. But I'm all about, at least if there's one positive things that we can find out, let's point at that, and that would have to be it.
Yeah. So he'll
Yeah,
be back. I mean, at
yeah, he'll
some
be back.
point, it may not be this year, but he should be able to come back next year and be
Yeah,
just fine with the injury. So that's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's One more quick point about that game. Former University of Michigan defensive coordinator Mike McDonald, who is the coach of Seattle, he moved his record on the road since he took over the Seahawks to 11-1, which
That's
is pretty
impressive.
impressive.
That is
Yeah,
very
eleven and
impressive,
one on
especially
the
in the
road. His first,
in the league like the NFL.
yeah, his only road loss came last year. Coincidentally against the Lions on a Monday night. It's the only game he lost
Oopsie.
on the road. The only game that he lost on the road, man. So big ups to Coach McDonald.
Well, there's this hashtag that's around social media for Michigan specifically that's called Go Blue Pro Blue. So, we had a
Okay.
night with JJ McCarthy, obviously, unfortunately. Good for
Yeah.
him, I guess. He did
Bittersweet,
well.
but it's kind
Did
of
well
hard to
against.
root against. It's kind of hard to root against JJ. I mean, even though he
Yeah.
was playing the Lions, I mean, it's one of those situations where you want the Lions to win the game. You want JJ to play well, but you want the
Yeah.
Lions to win
Lions
the
to
game.
win.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to root against the guy. I mean, obviously we big Michigan fans or whatever. I mean, heck, the
Right.
dude's picture's right over my shoulder there.
Little there.
You
Yeah.
know,
Hey.
so but it's hard to root against them, man. But I didn't
Yeah.
want them to win the game, but they did. So good
Yeah.
for
So
him.
you have, JJ did well. You just mentioned the defensive coordinator with the Seahawks. And then we
Mhm.
had Colston Loveland with the
Colston Loveland.
Bears. That
Yeah,
was okay. That was an insane game. I
it
kind
was.
of saw the highlights of it. I didn't get to watch the whole thing because of where I live, so I didn't get to see everything. I did see
Right.
the post-game interviews with Jamar Chase and Chase Brown. I can't say that I disagree with them, okay?
Yeah.
Because your franchise quarterback is hurt for the umpteenth time, again, sitting on the sidelines. Then you have the oldest quarterback in NFL history have probably his best game with 470 yards. He scored 15 points in 49 seconds to make a comeback late in the fourth quarter with less than 2
Mhm.
minutes to go. You get opportunities to capitalize off of crazy penalties that are like, I mean, they got saved with the guy when he returned the football, and the guy was like holding
Mhm.
the Bears guy was holding the Bengals guy basically at the goal line, and then dude's toe touched the ball on the onside kick.
Right.
So you get all these opportunities to come back and win the game, and the defense don't get a stop. I can't be mad at them
Yes.
for doing what they did in that conference. I can't. I mean, the Bengals just have they have the worst luck, I feel like, with
Yeah.
because it's like the offense is clearly still they can still
Mhm.
do what they need to do without Joe Burrow, clearly. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously Joe Burrow is amazing, but you would think if you use a quarterback like that, you would be struggling a lot. And I think the Bengals have shown, obviously they have faced this more than one time, that we can still make something happen. The defense just
Right.
can't get it together.
Yeah. The Bengals became the first team in like 60 years to lose
Mhm.
back-to-back games when they scored 38 or more points in the
Yeah.
game. So that tells you how bad their defense has been. I
Mhm.
mean, and it has to be frustrating
Very much.
when for all the reasons that you pointed out, still have an opportunity. I mean, if you beat the Jets last week and you beat the Bears this week, right now you're sitting with a record of like 5-4, and you're right
Mhm.
there and the thick of things in your division. But to lose
Mhm.
both those games after scoring that many points and the
Right.
defense can't get a stop, I mean, it would have to be frustrating. I mean,
Right.
these guys are prideful. They're professionals. You go out and you get the job done on your end. And I mean, I guess, you try to be good teammates about it,
Mhm.
because there may be a time when the offense is not producing and you need the defense to step up and stop the
Right.
other team, right? And then the defense is going like, man, we keep getting these stops. We holding teams
Complimentary
to
football.
yeah, it's complimentary football. It really is, man. And
Yeah.
it's cliche, but it's really true. You have to have
Yeah.
it in order to be successful. And right now for the Bengals, that's just not
They
happening. I
just
mean,
don't
because
have it.
you would think that without Joe Burrow, you would think that the team would really struggle, and they were
Mhm.
struggling with Jake
For a
Browning
little
as
bit, yeah.
their quarterback. But last 3-4 games that they've had Joe Flacco, I mean, Joe Flacco has looked great.
Yeah.
He's looked great, and if the
Yeah.
defense could just step up just a little bit, man, the Bengals would
Mhm.
be okay. But and then they
Mhm.
just traded Logan Wilson to the Cowboys,
Mhm.
so it looked
Mhm.
like there's going to be a fire sale potentially, before the trade deadline there. So
I mean, Trey
you
Hendrickson,
know,
he requested a trade because of the issues on the
right,
defense, so we'll see where he ends up as
right,
well.
right.
So,
Hopefully with Detroit, but that's not going to happen.
I don't know. I mean, but like you said, you can't apologize for winning games the way that, the Bears
Hmm.
did. I guess the team that deserved to win won the game. I guess you can't say
Yeah.
that the Bengals deserved to win that game because obviously
No.
Caleb Williams, Colson Loveland, the rest of the Bears, they stepped up when they needed to. I mean, because you would think that with what was it? Like I said, it was less than a minute left in the game that was it.
Mhm.
But that's not the
Yeah.
case. I mean,
Right. They gave up. I mean, you can't give up 575 yards of offense and expect to win a game. I mean, the
yeah,
Bears put up 576, I think, to be exact, in total offense, which is incredible.
yeah.
Ben Johnson has got the Bears looking really good
They look
offensively.
they look
I
really
mean,
good. Yeah.
I think they have one of the top 5 offenses in the NFL maybe right
hmm
now. I mean, the thing that's really holding the Bears back, even though they have a 5-3 record, their defense is ranked number 24, 25 or something like that in the league. I mean,
hmm
at one time, the Bears defense was ranked pretty high,
Yeah.
but I think now they're like, one of the lower ranked defenses in the league. But
hmm
if the defense improve throughout the season because they have a relatively easy schedule going forward because they're playing like a last place schedule.
hmm
The Bears can make the playoffs. I mean, with
Yeah.
that offense, they could make the playoffs. So, good for them, bad for the Lions. I mean, but
right.
you're not going to keep a guy like Ben Johnson as your assistant coach forever. And the Lions definitely miss him, and
hmm
the Bears are definitely benefiting from having him.
Have
So,
them there.
I mean, good for them, I guess.
Speaking of teams with the bad defense, I do want to quickly mention the Monday night game that I guess a lot of
Yeah.
people couldn't watch because of YouTube TV,
The
ESPN, Disney,
dispute.
all of the
Yeah.
things. But I got to watch
Yeah.
it. I have my ways. I'm gonna stay in my lane, as Jamar Chase said in his little post game interview in his press conference. But how the Cowboys? How are you losing to the backup quarterback? Respectfully, I ain't never heard of that man. I mean, and like you said, Dak has been playing.
And Jacoby
You know,
Brissett has been around for a
yeah,
while.
he's
He's
been
he's
around for a
he's a
while.
decent quarterback.
Okay.
Listen, and I think I had mentioned I think I had mentioned before that the Cardinals may not be as bad
Bad as
as
their
their
record
record
indicates.
indicated. Yeah, they every game they played up until last night had been a one possession game.
Right.
I mean, they were losing by, they lost 5 straight games, a point here, 4 points there, 3 points
Mhm.
there. I mean, they were in a lot of their games against some good teams.
Mhm.
So to me, I mean, and the other, anomaly about this whole thing is that I think the Cardinals have like beaten the Cowboys like, 8 out of the last 9 times they played them,
I did
which
not
is
know that.
crazy.
I didn't
Yeah, I
know
mean,
that one.
it's some crazy stat. They've beaten the Cowboys like 4 times in a row, 8 out of the last 9 times they played them. I mean, so, it wasn't really that surprising to me that the Cardinals played well, especially coming off their bye week.
Mhm.
Jacoby Brissett is a decent backup quarterback. He's been
Mhm.
around forever. He's played with a
I
lot of
know.
teams. So it really wasn't that surprising to me. The only thing that surprised me about that game is how poorly the Cowboys offense played. It was no surprise that the defense struggled, but the offense has been
Right.
one of the better offenses in the
Yeah, they've
league
been
this
doing
year.
well.
Yeah, and they only scored 10 points. I mean, 7 of those points came off a block punt,
Right.
that they got in the first half where they
I
scored
saw
a
the
touchdown
yeah,
on.
I remember that. That was crazy. I
So
did see that.
yeah, so the game really wasn't as close as the final score may have indicated. The Cardinals
Mhm.
dominated the game. I mean, they were up
Mhm.
24-7 at one point. They dominated the game. At no point throughout the course of that game, and I always say this, there was
Yeah.
not at any point that you felt like, at least me, there was no point that I felt
Oh,
like
I
the
didn't.
Cowboys were going to win the game.
No.
It just was at no point. At
None.
no point the
None.
Cardinals controlled the game. So, now the Cowboys are sitting at 3-5-1, as they go into their bye. So it's going to be tough. I mean, they're not going
Right.
to win the division more than likely because
No.
they're 3 games behind the Eagles. So if the Eagles win that game and now you're 4 games behind the Eagles as far in the win column is concerned,
Mhm.
it's going to be tough over the last 9 games of the season unless the Eagles fall apart for the Cowboys to win that division, which means the Cowboys are going to be fighting for a wild card spot, and that's going to be
Right.
tough. It's going to be
Right.
tough.
And
So
then, like you always say, like, you don't wanna put your fate in the hands of other teams, like, you wanna be in
no,
control of your destiny, and I feel like that's where the
yeah,
Cowboys are kinda headed now is hoping that other teams fall apart to help their chances
yeah.
as the season goes on, which is
I
never a
I
good position to
mean,
be in.
they have what 8 games left. They could win all 8.
They could.
Right?
Yeah,
I
they
mean, so
could.
if they go 11-5-1, they'll make the playoffs
Yeah.
with 11 victories 9 times out of 10. They'll make the playoffs with that. Uh, what are the chances? I mean, it could happen, but what are the
Yeah.
chances they win their
That
last
will
8
happen.
games?
Right.
They have some tough games left on their schedule. So, I mean, but it can happen. I've seen it happen before. I mean, I've seen teams go on a run that you didn't see coming. So it could happen. But the defense is just going to have to get better.
Yeah.
Like I
Way
said, they
better.
picked up Logan Wilson, so maybe a whole lot better. I mean, they picked up Logan Wilson, so hopefully that'll help, and we'll see if they pick up somebody else before the trade deadline at 4:00 this afternoon. So we'll see.
Yeah, like you said, if only
But
they had somebody that could help with that. But I saw
yeah,
someone on Twitter, they were saying the Cowboys, it could be 3rd and 85, and the Cowboys would still allow a first down. And judging by how they played last night, 'cause there was like so many, I was like, y'all let them get the first down on that?
on
I'm
third
like,
and
come
19,
on.
second and 19. Yeah,
Come on.
yeah,
Like, y'all got to get a stop here,
yeah.
man.
You know what will be a really good game?
What?
Cowboys against the Bengals, because both
How would that be a good
defenses
game? Oh, because
suck.
both defenses suck. So to literally crown the worst,
Yeah, yeah.
let put these two teams together
That would
because
be
both
if
of
you
those
like
defenses suck.
Yeah, if you like offensive football, man, that would be a pretty good game to watch. The
Yeah,
Cowboys against the Bengals.
it'll probably be like 72-75, some like
Right?
basketball
It'd be like a
score or
basketball
something.
score, yeah.
Basketball game. That actually would be really
Right?
funny to see.
That
we
would
need
be
to
pretty cool.
email the NFL, be like, hey, can we put this on the schedule? Yeah, let's make this happen because that would be hilarious. Well, speaking of a team that was able to get some defensive stops, the Bills and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Bills have won
Game
their
of the
5th
week.
consecutive, game of the week. Pat Mahomes was hit. I've seen different numbers for this, so I don't know which one is right because they said one thing on TV. Then when I read the articles last night, it said something different. I'm going to go with what the article said. It said Pat Mahomes was hit 14 times and sacked 3 times during the game.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, because at first it was saying like he was hit 15 times, sacked 5. Now I'm saying 14 and 3. So we're going to go with that.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't really watch that game
I watched it in bits
because
and pieces.
after the Lions lost, I just didn't really want to watch football at that point. I'm like,
He was sad.
Like I said, I mean, it's like I said, the sky is not falling, but after the Lions lose a game, it take me a little while to like process it or
Care
whatever
about
and
football,
get over
yeah.
it. So to care about it. I watched the Sunday night game, but the late afternoon games, I didn't really watch. I don't care. The Lions lost, so I don't care. But I went back and I looked at a little bit of the highlights or whatever. But Kansas City has already lost 4 games, and I think I mentioned this earlier in the year, man. There are a lot of good teams in the AFC, and where the Chiefs sit right now, they're not in the playoffs. And again, I know it's just halfway through.
Yeah.
No, they're like sitting at number 8 right now. Only 7 teams make the playoffs. They're sitting at number 8 right now.
Yeah.
2 games behind the Broncos. But the good news about that, I think the Chiefs have a bye this week. But their next 2 games coming out of the bye, I think they play the Broncos, and then I think they play the Indianapolis Colts. The 2 teams that are at the top of the conference right now. So they, obviously they have plenty of opportunities to. Yeah, they have plenty of chances. Because they still play the Broncos twice. And right now they trail the Broncos in the AFC West by 2 games. So you have an opportunity, head to head to make those 2 games up. So by no means am I saying, the sky is falling in Kansas City or whatever, but they have some work to do. And just like how I said with the Lions,
them as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to have an uphill battle. They're going to have an uphill battle, man. It's not going to be easy, for them to, make up those games, make up, the ground, the teams that's in front of them. So, I mean, one of the teams that's in front of them right now is Buffalo, who just beat you. So if it came down to like a tie break head to head, you would lose that. So,
yeah.
You know.
However, the one thing, I mean, I feel like if I was a Bills fan, like, yeah, it's great. Whoop-de-doo, we beat the Chiefs during the regular season. Doesn't mean anything because when the postseason shows up when it really matters, you never beat them. I mean, they're 0-4. The last time you guys beat the Chiefs was in 1991 and 1994,
wow,
so.
Don't even count.
They don't even count. Like you were saying the other day, we
man.
had a conversation off camera. It's like, how old are you? Can you tell me what happened during that game?
Right.
Like, what have they done in your lifetime? Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's. I feel like the Bills are probably one of the most yearning fan bases because it's like they get on the cusp every year, but then they can't get over the hump and pass up Mahomes, essentially, in most recent years. Because, I mean, like I said, who cares if you beat them during the regular season if you're not beating them during the playoffs? I mean,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think this may be the year, though. I really do. I think this may be the year that Buffalo get over the hump and beat Kansas City. We'll see. I
We'll
mean,
see.
but something tells me that those two teams will see each other again in the playoffs. I mean, because Kansas City, you know, again, I mean, I know I said what I said, but you know, the Chiefs they will probably make the playoffs. I don't see them not making it. They just, you know, too good of a team not to be one of the 7 teams in the tournament.
For
Let me
sure.
just put it to you like that. But so we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, and you know, and this game is always marqueed as Allen versus Mahomes, but from what we saw this week, it's like the key for them is going to be the defense to be able to do what they did to Mahomes and the Chiefs in the postseason. Pat
Yeah,
Mahomes
and
had a
then
career low completion record at 44%, while
completion
the
percentage,
Bills, and then while the Bills had a
Mhm.
franchise high of completion. So, you know, if
Mhm.
Josh Allen can play as well as he did today during the postseason, because normally up until Sunday, he's actually better in the playoffs than he is in the regular season. So if he can play like he did today or better in the postseason, and then the defense also show up the way that they did, they could beat the Chiefs for sure in the
Oh yeah.
playoffs.
Yeah, they definitely have the ability to beat them. I think right now it's just all mental
Yeah.
for the Bills when it comes to playoff time when they play
Mhm.
Kansas City because they beat them during the regular season.
Yeah.
But for some reason in the playoffs, you know, it's just mental. I think that
Yeah.
they can't find a way to get the job done in playoff time. But Kansas City's just tough, man. I mean, they've won, you know, 3 of the last 5 or whatever it is Super Bowls that that's been played or whatever. So Chiefs are just tough. Chiefs are tough. So, but we'll see. It'll be fun.
Yeah. All
It'll
right.
be fun to watch. Watch out for the Ravens too. The Ravens, I know they
Oh yeah, they
only
kind
won
of
3 games, but watch out for the Ravens. That's all I'm gonna
Lamar
say. Watch
Jackson is
out
back.
for.
They are
I think they
back.
play the Vikings Sunday. Watch out for the Ravens. I think they're gonna go on a run here. I think they only won 2 games, maybe. How many games did the Ravens win? 2?
I want to say it's 2. I was like, I don't
2
know.
or 3, something
I
like
don't
that. But
think
yeah,
it's been
watch out for it's 3.
3.
I think it's 3 because they beat the Bears last week, 2 weeks ago, and then they beat whoever it was they played when was it Miami on Thursday Night Football?
Yeah, they beat Miami. They
So I
beat
think
Miami bad.
so I think they're like 3 and 5 right now. So watch out for the
They are
Ravens, man. I
they are
think
3 and 5,
yeah,
and they beat the Bears, the Dolphins, and the Browns. The
right,
Browns was the game that they won after they lost to the Bills.
right. Yeah, so watch out for the Ravens. That's just
Yeah.
my sneaky prediction for the
Yeah.
second half of the season. I think the
Yeah.
Ravens are going to make a run here in the second
Yeah.
half.
Well, like I told you, I want to say it was last week. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was like the Ravens without Lamar Jackson are averaging like 6 points or whatever, and then with Lamar Jackson, they average like 40 something. So
Yeah, definitely much better
yeah,
team
yeah. So
with
now,
Lamar than without him.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yep,
I think the Ravens are going to make a run here.
yeah. All right, well, good for
Mm.
them. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up here. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. We hope that you guys enjoyed it. Of course, if you haven't already, please go ahead and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. That way you can be updated whenever we upload an episode. And of course, it also helps us out as well. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Stay here till we get back.